Hey all, it's Taylor, and today I want to talk about a very special laptop with you today. It is thin, it is light, it has a 10th gen Intel Core processor, there's 32 gigs of RAM, 2 terabytes of storage, and it is not a MacBook even though it kind of looks like a MacBook. It's got green USB ports on both sides, super fancy, a couple ventilation fans down at the bottom, which are going to be a huge problem later, kind of, sort of, we'll get into that. But best of all, it is a 4K OLED screen. It is non-touch, which honestly I prefer. I'm glad it's not a touch screen. Has a large trackpad and speakers. So what exactly is this laptop? If you guess that this is the Razer Blade 15 RZ090328, then you are exactly correct. And how in the world did you guess that? I have no idea. We're going to talk about this laptop today and showcase why it is so special and why it retailed for about $2,200, and you can still find this for like between $700 and $1,200, which means this has held its value pretty well. So let's go ahead and explore what this laptop is all about. This video is not sponsored. However, I am part of the NordVPN affiliate program, so I will be mentioning NordVPN software briefly during this video. However, they did not provide me with the software, and I have the affiliate link in my description below. So this is it, the Razer Blade 15 with the OLED screen. It is a 2020 model, so pretty old now, about 5 years. And the specs wise, it's pretty long in the tooth. So that 10th gen Intel Core processor, 32 gigs of RAM, which is a healthy amount, but it is DDR4 running at around 2000 megatransfers per second, which is so slow compared to the DDR5 that we have nowadays, where that runs upwards of 8,000 megatransfers per second. Pretty big difference there. So specs wise, this thing is pretty old. It also has an RTX 2070 Max-Q, which is a laptop variant of the graphics card. That's what they used to call them. It's also got 2 terabytes of SSD storage. I also want to touch on the ports as well, because it has a pretty healthy selection. There is a proprietary charging port on the side here where you can flip it one way or the other, but one way is going to block your other ports, so I was just pointing it outward. It also has a 1 gigabit Ethernet port. Also has a USB-A 5 gigabits per second, pretty slow. A USB-C, this is not Thunderbolt, this is just a USB-C port. And then it has a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. On the other side, we have a HDMI 2.0 B port. There is a Kensington lock. There is 2 additional USB-A ports. These also run at 5 gigabits per second. And then there is a Thunderbolt 3 port. For ventilation, there are 2 fans at the bottom here, and they are intaking air and exhausting it out the back. There's a little problem with these fans though, in that if you're just like kind of generally picking up the laptop and you press your fingers against it, yeah, you can touch the fan and actually like make it slow down. And this is actually quite a bit of an issue if you're just like one-handing this and picking it up. It happens to me pretty much every time, and it's so annoying. I really like the laptop charger that comes with this. So if you're purchasing this laptop, be sure you get the original charger with it. It has the little Razer logo there, but it is so slim and tiny. This is definitely that updated technology, and it is 230 power adapter. I say updated technology, I think it's like the Gantt charger. I think that's what it's called. And then it also has a very nice braided connection here that is quite long. I have it bundled up here, but it is quite long. And then on the other side, it just has your standard 3-prong. You can disconnect it if you want, pretty typical of other laptop chargers. This is a pretty good charger. So if you get this laptop, be sure it comes with this. The real star of this show is this screen though. It is a non-touch 4K OLED screen. 4K on a 15-inch screen like this is incredible. This means that text is incredibly sharp. If you are doing anything where you want to see the clearest text, the clearest videos, the clearest pictures, this is it. 4K at 15 inches is just incredible. If you're someone who wants to do coding on this laptop, it is amazing for that because the text clarity is just insane. It is awesome. Furthermore, OLED, the colors are going to be incredible. OLED means that you can get those super, super dark blacks. So pretty much every picture that you see on this screen is going to look amazing. Now there is a couple drawbacks to this being a 5-year-old OLED, one of them being that the screen is limited to 60 Hertz, which is pretty noticeably slow. The latency is also not great. There is a lot of tearing that happens with this screen because of that low latency and the low refresh rate. Also, this screen is extremely glossy. It is almost like a mirror. There's almost no angle you can use this at in no amount of light where it is not going to reflect off this display. It is insane. Also, if you are sensitive to like flicker on OLEDs, then you're probably going to be sensitive with this. Personally, I am not sensitive to it. I cannot notice it with my naked eye. However, in the video, I noticed that I can see the flicker in the video, and oh my goodness, if I was sensitive to that, it would drive me nuts on this. So you might experience some headaches if you are very sensitive to OLED flicker on this screen. Let's talk about the gaming experience. Here I have Indiana Jones and I have my mouse. And there is USB ports on the side here for my mouse, but obviously I don't want to put it on that side. So I will use the USB-A on this side. It's nice to see that it's on this side. The benefit is that you can have your mouse right up next to the laptop and it doesn't interfere cable wise. Anyway, here I'm at 1920 by 1080, but I'm going to go all the way up to 3840 by 2160. That is 4K. So I'm just going to go ahead and send it here, and everything is, I'm just going to set the custom to medium. Okay, so everything's set to medium. And then I'm going to set the DLSS to performance. And getting under 40 frames per second with these settings. Again, this is medium with DLSS set to performance, 4K, getting 40 frames per second. So as you can see, it's pretty taxing for that 2070. It's probably not realistic to be running it at these settings, but if I change this to ultra performance and then I change the graphics settings down to low, which it looks like I can get even low. No, that'll go to custom, never mind. Let's see what we get now, getting 50 frames per second, so gained about 10 frames per second. We're right up there against that 60 frames per second mark. Remember, this is a 60 Hertz screen, so it's not like a super high refresh rate screen. So yeah, you can expect between 40 and 50 frames per second running it like this, but you can also drop it down to 1920 by 1080 and it still will look good because this is a 15-inch screen. Now you're running at 100 FPS, so well into that 60 Hertz territory. So it's going to be much smoother and you're not compromising all that much on quality here. How does this laptop do with a faster paced competitive shooter like Counter-Strike 2? Pretty good. I am at the native 4K resolution with all medium settings. The Fidelity FX Super Resolution is set to quality. Everything else is medium. And I am getting 87 frames per second here on Dust 2, 85 frames per second, 75. So well above the 60 frames per second required for the 60 Hertz refresh rate on the screen. So taking full advantage of the screen. And as far as thermals, you can hear the laptop is getting pretty loud when gaming. And be careful putting your hands up here because it's hot. Like I cannot have my hands on there for more than a few seconds because it is just scorching hot up here. The keyboard deck is pretty controlled. The palm rest is pretty warm, but up here towards the top, it is straight up hot. You are going to want to be careful touching up there. If you're curious about what this software experience is like on a Razer laptop, like where do you get updates, where do you get BIOS updates, just generally like how do you maintain the system, they have a pretty good system going on here. It's just in the Razer Synapse. If you've ever had a Razer product before, you're very familiar with this software. This is where you get all your computer updates, all your BIOS updates, all the little tweaks that they make to this laptop. And I've owned this laptop for about 2 years now, and the updates, they update pretty regularly. So they are still pushing updates for the system despite it being 5 years old, which is nice to see. And in here you can change things like lighting, you can change the performance of the laptop from like balance, creator, gaming. So you do have some profiles to tweak how the system manages its power, and you can also tweak it if you're on battery as well. And with Synapse, you get some pretty cool lighting extras that I haven't seen in any other laptop. Like you can sync this up to a Philips Hue bridge and it will sync with your lights, which is pretty cool. It also has some pretty connected games here. You can see I have Silent Hill 2, Diablo 4, Hogwarts Legacy, Overwatch. Those all will control the lighting of the system in game, which is something that you just don't really see on many gaming laptops. So it's good that there has been some thought put into that. If you are planning to use your Razer out in public, be sure that you are protecting yourself online. And I have personally been using NordVPN for a few years now, and I'm really impressed with it. It's very lightweight. You have a very fast connection, even when connected to VPN, and there are tons of servers to connect to. Even if you want to connect to different countries, look at all the countries that are available there, just an insane amount. And you get a map overview if you want to see exactly where in the world you want to connect to. And you can see NordVPN has quite a bit of servers everywhere, and the connection is super fast. I have 1 gigabit per second internet, and here doing a speed test, I'm getting pretty close to that 1 gigabit per second Ethernet. And granted, I'm connected on Wi-Fi, so this is a pretty good speed. If you are interested in NordVPN, be sure to check the affiliate link in my description for some pretty nice discounts. How's the trackpad and keyboard experience? Well, I'm glad you asked. The trackpad is very nice. It is all glass and it's very smooth. It feels very similar to a MacBook trackpad. However, it is a physical click. It is not haptic. So if you click down here, it is going to be easier to click than if you were to click up here. The keyboard. This keyboard is, without exaggeration, the worst keyboard I have ever typed on. The keys are flat, but they have no travel. They feel super cheap, and they just feel like they're gonna break. I mean, I'm typing sideways, so I'm making a lot of mistakes, but it's awful. It truly is awful. I can see where Razer gets the reputation of having the worst keyboards, because for a laptop this expensive, having a keyboard that feels like this is just unacceptable. And here is the BIOS. Pretty 2020 looking, very standard. You can navigate it here with the arrow buttons, which feel pretty nice, except these little ones are kind of weird. Now let's go ahead and crack this laptop open. There are 10 screws on the bottom, and you're gonna need a T4, which is a Torx screw, T4 screwdriver to unscrew all of them. So now let's see how easy it is to open it up. After I remove the screws, it's just lift the lid right off. There is no troublesome clips or anything like that. It just kind of comes right off. Right off the bat, you can see the battery here, and it is 4,221 milliamp hour battery. There is also the Wi-Fi chip here, which I actually did upgrade so that it is Wi-Fi 6E. It came with Wi-Fi 6. I upgraded that. And then we have our 2 RAM sticks here. I believe that this RAM stick is the original. I do believe that when I originally bought this laptop, the seller had upgraded the RAM. Oh, I guess not, because this is Furious, so maybe this is factory RAM. But yeah, if you wanted to upgrade that, I believe it goes up to 64 gigs. And then over here is the SSD. We have a 970 EVO. The seller that I got this from definitely did upgrade this. It did not come with that drive. And then if you wanted to upgrade to another SSD, you can here. So you can have 2 SSDs, which is nice to see. So a fair amount of upgradability in this laptop. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Razer Blade 15 4K OLED. What did you think of this laptop? Would you pay $700 to $1,200 for a system like this? Or do you have one of these already? Let me know what you think of it in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. If you like the video, hit that like button. And if you want to see more videos like this, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you guys in the next one.